creator of the NRC brand, gives his insight and thoughts on the world of comic books, gaming, tech, and media industries as the host of Neo Reality Collective. Experience a slew of regular episodes covering news and pop culture, along with reviews and editorial pieces showcasing the best and worst of our ever-expanding multimedia world.
Welcome back, everyone, to Neo Reality Collective. I'm your host, Eric Brown, and we have a lot of news to cover because the last 2 weeks were pretty wild, and I then unexpectedly landed something that kind of shocked me, the fact that I got it so easily and quickly. But I'll talk about that at the end of this if you all make it through this. So, Daredevil Born Again ended. Season 1 over, done. We're set for Season 2 already. And people are already up in arms with the whole, where's the Defenders, where's Spider-Man and whatnot, where's Moon Knight, where's that, and all that. And I get it. I really do. I really do get this. But trust me, this is going to make sense in a little bit. The Defenders, they're rumored to be coming back for Season 2, so don't worry about that. They might pop in later. And I'm pretty sure with how the production was for Born Again Season 1, with how the original plan was to, be basically a gigantic reboot and not all have the Netflix continuity in focus. Yeah, it makes sense to why this has been altered, because there was still some filming stuff that was left over that was added into the rebooted Born Again production. So probably that kind of factored into everything. So we might see them in Season 2, we might not. As for Moon Knight, I don't know where he's at currently. No idea how to answer that. Sorry. But the one about Spider-Man. Now this is going to be important. So the Kingpin actor Vincent D'Onofrio, I'm pretty sure I butchered that. I am terribly sorry. Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, who is also the mayor of New York, he revealed that he can never, ever truly be in a movie. The character Wilson Fisk Kingpin. Yeah, they can't make a Wilson Fisk movie. They can't have him show up inside he can't show up on, like, Spider-Man films. He can't show up on this. He can't show up on that. He can only show up on TV shows because it's all cut up in rights and whatnot. Talking about this in the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, saying it's a very hard thing to do for Marvel to use my character. It's a very hard thing to do because of ownership and stuff. And yeah, sadly, we're never going to see the Kingpin interact with the big guys and gals of the Marvel Universe in the MCU because rights suck. And thus, we probably can't even get a cameo where we can't recreate the iconic scene in Secret Wars issue number 1, 2015, where Wilson Fisk hosts a massive party to celebrate the heroes' failures when the end of the world's coming, and Punisher just comes in and be like, what am I gonna do with all these bullets? And we never see what happens after that, but though personally I don't think they were ever going to do that because that would have been too violent. It would be for an Avengers film. Thus, but we can't get him in Brand New Day and whatnot. So throw that out. And people go ahead and will bring up, well, he mentioned Spider-Man. Yeah, that doesn't actually mean he can actually bring in Spider-Man into the show, into Daredevil Born Again, or any TV product, because according to the rights issues, aka Sony, there's a huge, massive restriction of sorts. Apparently, the whole Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man series, the spin-off series that was originally supposed to be a prequel that ended up being its own self-contained universe of stuff going on. Yeah, you see, apparently Marvel Studios had a huge problem trying to get that off the ground, and Sony was like, you can't have a show for more than an hour. Every episode has to be less than 45 minutes, less than an hour. So, yeah, and if you want live action, that's even a bigger nightmare process. We live in a world of confusing patents and trademarks and laws and licensing. So, even if we could get Spider-Man, even if they can name drop Spider-Man, we can't exactly have Spider-Man unless Sony sells back the Spider-Man rights to films and all that back to Marvel, and that doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon. Probably not until after Beyond the Spider-Verse, because after that they're pretty much out of ideas. Because the Sony Spider-Man, No Spider-Man at All universe failed miserably for many. And the fact that you wasted Null for God's sakes, and he's not probably going to appear in frickin' Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, and thus we can't get a badass God King Doom versus the King in Black, which I would have been alright with that. That would have been awesome. But, yeah. Kingpin, he's not going to be joining the MCU film stuff and whatnot for the foreseeable future, tragically. And we won't be seeing Spider-Man join the MCU TV sagas, until Sony gets their heads out their asses. So, probably not for a long time. Meanwhile, Elden Ring director Miyazaki reassures that From Software will still actively develop single-player focused games despite the online multiplayer that is Duskbloods. I mean, yeah, that should have went without saying. It's a PvPe game that is an exclusive to Nintendo, and, well, the less I talk about Nintendo for now, the better, or else I'll be screaming at the top of my lungs. So, yeah, I kind of saw them still developing single player focused games, and I never really saw them leaving the sphere of gaming that they're known for. Like, they could do some things on the side, like, I'm cool with that. Like, did we all think that Armored Core 6, the new Armored Core game that came out a year or so back, was gonna, like, cause them to replace every game portfolio afterwards into Armored Core night games? Yeah. And he even revealed that during the development of Duskbloods, apparently Nintendo was trying, basically because of its partnership with Nintendo, From Software was trying to make something, quote, cute for the change for the hubkeep, because Nintendo, and that failed miserably. Even I know that would never work. Like, it was still surreal to say that there's an exclusive game for Nintendo Switch 2 that is from the people who make Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and the less I talk about Bloodborne, because people freak out about that every single second of the day, because Sony is still stubborn about it. And some people think that they lost the code, which wouldn't surprise me, like Kingdom Hearts did, but Kingdom Hearts brought it back. Yeah. So, yeah, they try to do something cute, and they say, oh no, I will say this character is actually an elderly gentleman, ha ha ha. And, yeah, and I was like, yeah, I don't see that working for the style they go for. Also, yeah, there's been a new trend lately. It's despaired me to no end, because I have to remember I have to cry about this. The Minecraft movie came out. Chicken Jockey. What am I supposed to say from that? Like, on its own, it means nothing. It's just a line from the movie, because there's a zombie on top of a chicken. But the moment that phrase gets uttered in movie theaters, it's pandemonium, popcorn being thrown, screams of chicken jockey, and reports of police being called for one. And there was even an incident where someone raised a chicken in the air. I question how they got that through security in any form of media, in any form of vetting, when they were bringing people in for the theater. But, yeah, I genuinely feel sorry for the janitors and whatnot. The least they could do is clean up after themselves. I know that's asking too much from people these days, but yeah, it's just, yeah. And I think there was also a report going around that there was even one where they used explosives to celebrate Chicken Jockey. except that turned out to be something that happened in India for a completely different movie, and the very fact that I can say that there was actually an incident where that was real and not deepfake or AI is depressing. Where someone literally burned down an entire theater because of a scene in a movie, making them go into a ravenous pandemonium. I give up. I generally give up. Meanwhile, the DCU continues its momentum with Peacemaker Season 2, aka Peacemaker Season 1, but it's because we need to somehow justify Peacemaker Season 1 still being a thing without that particular ending of the Justice League showing up. We're calling this Peacemaker Season 2, even though we could just call it Peacemaker Eat Peace Mofo or something else with a subtitle, like Daredevil Born Again. But James Gunn came out and announced that August 21st, counting the days until Peace on Earth. I just finished DI and Mix for the season premiere yesterday, and wow, it's one of my favorite things ever. For Peacemaker Season 2 coming soon on Max August 21st. And I'm still trying to wonder how how they're going to explain half of the stuff that went down in Season 1, since this is also canon, and yeah, see the problem here, just fully reboot it. You could have committed to that. You could, I had this interview, I'll get to that at the end about it, but I just said, why not just dump all the Flash, Aquaman, and Shazam, since they weren't going to matter, and they're not going to be part of the DCU, therefore, we don't care. But, yeah. Peacemaker Season 2, aka what they should have called it, Peacemaker Eat Peace Mofo, is coming out, and I'm looking forward to that success, especially since John Cena is going to walk in heading as champion after WrestleMania, and the fact that he's now a villain. And we finally got our from what I was hearing, very lackluster Peacemaker versus Homelander match. Yeah, we live in a society. Meanwhile, Death Stranding's live-action movie has its director. I question the need to even get a director for a live-action Death Stranding movie, since Death Stranding, the video game, is pretty much a motion captured cinematic epic. So I don't even get the whole point of making this a movie. And plus, there's also the confirmation of Death Stranding 2 on the Beach that will launch later this year on June 26th on the PS5. So, yeah. So they got the director from A Quiet Place Day One set to write and direct the live-action adaptation of Death Stranding. So, yeah, and I kept hearing mixed reviews about that, so we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, it's been 20 freaking years since Revenge of the Sith. And that was the last movie I ever saw in theaters before my, nowadays I regret ever doing, return to theaters with The Force Awakens. And the misery that entailed in the other movies that followed, save for Rogue One, the best Star Wars Disney era movie. And the very fact that I can say that it's still the best Star Wars movie is very depressing. But yeah, so 20th anniversary is coming up for Revenge of the Sith, and oh god, I'm so freaking old. I was 10 years old when that movie came out, and now I'm gonna be 30 in a few months. Oh god, mortality is coming in, damn it. But on the good news, for those who love the novelization of the Legends Timeline's Revenge of the Sith, it is going to get it's going to get a deluxe edition as revealed by Collider. That's going to get a deluxe edition hardcover due out in October, in addition to a new cover art and upgrades like a red foil edge pages and a removable jacket. The deluxe edition includes over 170 new annotations by Stover. And Tom Holler, the editorial director of fiction and special projects for Random House Worlds, said in a statement, "We couldn't be more excited to publish this incredible deluxe edition of Revenge of the Sith novelization. It has been a thrilling work with the author Matthew Stover and the Lucasfilm to create a fully annotated edition that gives readers unprecedented insight to the creation of this masterpiece. Across nearly 50 years of Star Wars books, it stands alone." 50 years, right? I was told that all those other books beforehand don't matter until, like, until Disney said it didn't matter. It stands alone, even among film novelizations. Its approach to adapting characters and stories from screen to page is unique. 2 decades later, this novelization is as essential, enduring, and influential on readers and creators as it has ever been. Bringing the book back to hardcover in a stunning deluxe keepsake edition is a perfect way to celebrate 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. Yep. And yeah, so I'm curious as to know, will they be making this have the Legends banner on it or not? Because since I'm sworn that there are Legends stuff going on in this book, so does this get the Legends banner, or are we just gonna act like that didn't happen again? I don't know. We'll see. Meanwhile, Blizzard, the company that had done awful things, keeps touting its big roadmap for Diablo 4 2025-2026, including a new expansion, a new ranking system, and leaderboards. Yeah, and they kept bragging about this all day with an interview with IGN exclusive, and it did not end well with people because the roadmap didn't go down well with people. Even the former president of Blizzard Games sure isn't where the game is going. Ouch. Yeah, and yeah, I kind of just saw this coming with Blizzard being the way it is, and especially after the dark patterns it did, so really we're kind of in a stalemate here, an impasse, so to speak. And yeah, I feel genuinely sorry for this. Good news is Arrowhead has announced that they want to have Helldivers 2 be around for years and years and years to come. And people are wondering the ultimate crossover event, Warhammer 40k. Yeah, apparently people have been asking for Warhammer. Like they got Killzone, I believe it was called. It's been a long minute since I last heard of that game. I would be curious if they did do Warhammer in the Helldivers universe, though I kind of wonder how they could adapt that correctly, given though the Helldivers are not really like the Space Marines. Yeah. Oh man, just oh god. Unless Microsoft and Sony could get their heads out of their behinds, I would love to see ODST involved, but apparently there was a pitch I read a while back that they pitched a what would have been Helldivers 2 take on the Halo 3 ODST characters, and bringing an ODST style gameplay in a Helldivers like scenario, and this was before Helldivers 2 was made and released. And Microsoft said no because because Legos. And yeah, that kind of sucked when I heard that, because it's like, how do you look at that and say, nah, let's not do anything unique and interesting. So yeah, they talked about the Killzone collab they did, and they want to know if Warhammer 40k will be involved. And Alex Bowl said, "What I can't say is that we had a blast working in collaboration with Guerrilla on Killzone. One thing that everyone agreed internally, that's making something from a different game IP in our universe. That is quite fun. It has its challenges because, again, we are very, very cautious about our fantasy, so we want to be able to explore those possibilities. We got super excited with Killzone. We want to do more for sure. I can't tell you more." Translation, a big nothing burger about that. Sweet. Meanwhile, Hades 2 is coming to Nintendo and Nintendo Switch 2 as a timed console exclusive. Boo! Meanwhile, Avengers Doomsday stars who the actor who plays Shang-Chi, I would have tried to pronounce his name, but I failed miserably before takes, says Marvel doesn't tell the cast anything because Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo ruined it for all of us. Yeah, that makes sense, especially after Mark Ruffalo spoiled the ending to Endgame a year ahead of time. It's just no one thought about it. Luckily they didn't. But, yeah. Damn it, Holland and Ruffalo. So, it's going to be interesting where that goes. But Shang-Chi, weren't we supposed to get a sequel about that before this? But then, okay, all the plans changed and everything, and now we got this. We'll see. I honestly don't know anymore. I've honestly lost track of this whole initiative with the Avengers because we had the Kang stuff and then the King Doomsday, and it's just, okay, what's the plan now? In fact, how are you going to explain any of this stuff? Like, and how are you going to tell this across just 2 movies? Like, this sounds like you need like 4 just to justify it. But yeah, and especially with the amount of characters you're bringing in, and what you want to bring in as well, especially with anime characters. But yeah, no idea on that. Meanwhile, set for June of 2025, Xbox Game Showcase, and plus there's an Outer Worlds 2 Direct. Sweet. But, yeah, Outer Worlds 2 got his own Direct show. I'm pretty sure Nintendo's going to say, yeah, Directs were our thing. And just days before the Season 2 premiere of The Last of Us they got renewed for Season 3. Oh no, so shocking. And meanwhile, Palworld developers then revealed that they aren't fans of the Pokemon with Guns moniker. Yeah, according to Pocket Pair Communications Director and Publishing Manager John Buckley, rolls off the tongue, right? Pokemon with Guns was never intended to be the takeaway. In fact, he says that Pocket Pair largely doesn't love the moniker. He said that this is in talk at the developers conference last month, where he discussed the initial rise to fame of Palworld in 2021. I mean, what were we supposed to take from that? Like, what am I supposed to take from what I was looking at? Like, I didn't even heard the phrase until later, but even I was thinking to myself when I saw some of the trailers about it was, that's literally Pokemon with guns. And the very fact Nintendo never did this themselves is a travesty. No, they're too busy making Typhlosion being a thing that I don't want to talk about, or else the Nintendo assassins will come after me. Oh man. Like I feel like Buckley and the Pocket Pair company should have expected the whole Pokemon with Guns moniker to come up, because it does look like Pokemon in a lot of ways, and they just have guns involved, and I like there's a lot of other stuff in there like slavery and whatnot. So yeah. But, yeah, that should have been a possibility that was going to come into the case here. That's just my 2 cents. Meanwhile, meanwhile, in this big interview they did, the communication director also talked about the generative AI controversy, online struggle, and why Palworld is misunderstood, like it's the victim. I'm like, if Nintendo gets its way, it will be. And he commented a bit on Nintendo's patent infringement lawsuit as well, saying it came as a shock to this year and was something that no one even considered. Okay. How? How did you not consider that Nintendo would try to find some way to sue? Like, I am amazed it took them long to sue you guys. Have they not seen what Nintendo does to people who, quote, copy their stuff and infringe on their property? Like, did you all forget about that one kid that they locked up for a year, that they locked up and was tortured in prison, more or less, because he couldn't survive? And this surprised you? Oh god. Oh god. So, yeah, I will never understand how they didn't suspect that. So, yeah, there's been talks about the whole AI thing, and before Gen AI became a thing, Kotaku made an article about the whole stuff, and the CEO commented about it, about it, and there were some apparently misinterpretations and whatnot. People took it the wrong way, but like, do I think they used AI? I don't know. I don't play Power World. I tried it, but I just couldn't get into it. I'm just not that kind of guy into it. But if they did use AI, tragic, because I feel like AI has a place at the creative table. It just shouldn't take the full table, but that's a completely different topic altogether. And they don't intend to have their and the CEO stated also that they will never want to sell the company. They don't want to be acquired, saying our CEO would never allow it, which basically stems to Nintendo. You want to take us on? You want to conquer us? Well, we're gonna go ahead and kick some butt. Even after they had signed a deal with Sony Music Entertainment to produce merchandise, music, and other products around Power World, which I'm pretty sure Nintendo's going to play victim card if Power World uses music that just happens to sound like Pokemon in some manner of speaking in the right light. And while that has been going on, Nintendo keeps burning bridges because there was this huge confusion going on regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 physical games. You know, the ones where you have to pay $90 to be punished for the fact that you wanted to get physical. However, Nintendo had to release a statement about a week after, saying physical versions of Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games will include the original Switch game and its upgrade pack all on the same game card. They are exclusively Nintendo Switch 2 game cards with no download code. Alternatively, some publishers may release the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games as download codes in a physical packaging with no game card. So then why make a physical package? And they had recently confirmed that several new Switch 2 game cards won't actually always carry an actual game, but instead contain a key for a game download. Like I said, they want to punish you for wanting to have physical. Yeah. So anyways, after an apparent shooting happened, not like that kind of shooting, like film shooting, regarding the Avengers Doomsday film, there's speculation going around after alleged photo came into question, where from an apparent drone doing something they certainly shouldn't do ahead of the beginning of the filming in London, and shows very much looks like the grounds of the X-Men Shin, aka the School for Gifted Youngsters, as it appears from the Fox X-Men films, with many creators suggesting a big battle is taking place, and has led to many people believing that the Fox X-Men are going to be viciously slaughtered early on in the film by Dr. Doom. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's not going to make people mad. I mean, like, if you want to do this scene, why not just have Doom just, kill the Kang Dynasty? Can't you just get him to come back since you pardoned him more or less thanks to the system? And can you just get him to come back and have the Kang Dynasty fight Doom, and it ends badly for them and Doom wins? Like, wouldn't that make more sense? No! Okay, we tried. Meanwhile, the trade wars are going ahead, and China may reduce or ban U.S. movies in retaliation to the tariffs that happened, and Look, if I keep going into politics about this, I'm going to scream, so I'm not going to try. Meanwhile, Devil May Cry anime officially got a green light to do a season 2 on Netflix after the success of the first one, and one of the last posthumous appearances of the Batman. Yeah, Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace. Yeah, he's still doing voice work in 2025, even after being gone for several years. Oh man. Also, I did hear the music was kick-ass, so that's a pros. Meanwhile, the Nintendo Switch 2 is not out yet, and yet the San Francisco Nintendo store already has its own camper waiting outside months in advance. Yeah, it doesn't come out till May 15th, and he released the video a month and a few days ahead of time. He flew 800 miles and plans to camp out for the next 2 months on the West Coast. He even admits, I've only lived in my apartment for 2 months and I just moved out. Terrible financial decision on my end. Whatever, who cares? Those who don't want the gaming industry to go through a crash, but at this point it's looking like it might need to. Oh, and to further show that Nintendo doesn't care about us, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's Nintendo Switch 2 edition doesn't come with the DLC. If I explain clearly why this is frustrating to deal with, and why I'm at reaching a point where if another 1983 crash for the gaming industry happens, part of me's not gonna weep. It sucks for the employees who actually do the work and try to come in and make great games for the fans and for themselves to perfect their craft, to showcase their art and their potential. But there has to be a reckoning at this point. At this sudden contempt the industry has for the gamers and developers, because I've been trying my damnedest to be positive about the industry, but I'm lost all hope. But yeah, I'm just getting more and more done with these practices. I find it ironic though, because Nintendo was the reason the US even survived the game crash of 1983, and now Nintendo looks like it wants to herald in another gaming crash before the end of 2020s. Whoopee. On to a little bit more positive news. Remember Jonathan Hickman's Gods? That big epic cosmic story that was going to be basically the Marvel's take on the Sandman universe, that a certain controversial writer who's currently being canceled for very horrible allegations, and he came out and confirmed that he did them, and his reasoning about how his reasoning is not good about why he did it, because it comes off like he's a complete sociopath. And I really don't want to talk about that. But, yeah. Hitmania, his Gods epic that was supposed to be one of the big books that he wanted to write at Marvel, that ended after about 8 issues. Well, just when you thought it was over, they're coming back. This time as a one-shot miniseries. As a one-shot issue for One World Under Doom miniseries, which is being written not by Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Scati, probably for the best, because Valerio Scati, ever since God, seems to just... I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the colorist that's causing this issue, but it just feels like the artwork has really declined in my eyes. I was like... Is it because of how good he was doing at the time? It might have hurt him or something? I don't know. It just bugs me. But, yeah. Ryan North is writing this one shot with a different artist, but Valerio Schiti is going to do the cover art for this one shot. And it does not look as good as it was as the original art that Valerio Schiti was pumping out every month. Yeah. But it's basically going to continue the story of the sole avatar of the powers that be Win, and basically the involvement of his apprentice, a college-age woman disillusioned with most magic, some science, and definitely all of her job working for Win, aka Mia Diamayar. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name. I am sorry. This oversized one-shot will have Dr. Doom being interested in Mia, and especially if she were to be free from Win's control. And Doom offers freedom, and this is Dr. Doom, so you know that's going to be a problem. And oh god, it's going to be a battle, no doubt. Cosmic battle right there. I'm hoping for the best, man. Ryan North's got big shoes to fill. Speaking of, in July, they're also killing off Thor. Again. So yeah, this July, Al Ewing's Immortal Thor run reaches a startling conclusion, which will kill the Thunder God off. Again. So yeah, Immortal Thor issue 25. Not even the halfway part of what Immortal Hulk was, but yeah. And Immortal Thor is basically going to be the story of how even an immortal can die, even though he's died twice, I think. I know he died once because they did Ragnarok, but I don't know if he died a second time or if this is the second time. It's just I'm so used to characters dying and coming back, it's kind of not really bothering me at this point. And Alex Ross once again delivers an epic art piece for this final issue for issue 25, so get ready for that. I'm looking forward to that. But, yeah. I kind of lost track of Immortal Thor, honestly. I was like, oh wait, that series is still happening? Man, I kind of forgot about that. I'm honestly surprised that was still going on. Okay. And it's set to relaunch and get a relaunch of the Al Ewing again, probably as the Mighty Thor or something again. And this time it was going to be how the Thunder God will probably be back, so... Or it's going to be like Moon Knight, where they killed Moon Knight off and then got another Moon Knight to come in, only to resurrect the other Moon Knight during another comic book event. And because we're so convolutedly insane, I have lost track of that. By the way, what happened to the other Moon Knight after the other one took over? Yeah, I don't know. I've lost track of the series from Jed McKay. I might check it out again, but I don't know. Not only that, we're getting a Michael, I tried to pronounce his name. I failed. The director of Marvel Studios' special presentation Werewolf by Night is coming to make a comic book run by writing Werewolf by Night Blood Moon Rise, a new Marvel comic book hitting stands in July that will spotlight what makes the Werewolf by Night such a captivating Marvel icon with over 50 years of comics history and 100 times as many bodies in his wake. Also pitting the tortured hero against Dracula. And the one show will also have a backup story by Jason Liu, writer of the current Werewolf by Night Red Band 2024 comic book series, celebrating the character's history and future along with various bonus material. Set to release on July 30th, 2025. So, remember Star Wars? Okay, yeah, we just talked about that. Okay, let me rephrase that. Do you remember Star Wars Battlefront 2? The EA version that got a lot of controversy and then was fixed, and then they saved itself from being shot in the foot constantly, and then they shut the bed again. Oh god, I really hate EA. Especially when it came out recently, about a year back, that they were going to do Order 66 as an official game mode, which makes me scream because that was a mode I've been wanting to do for a while now, in game instead of modding it on the original Battlefront 2. And especially, I would just like to point this out, can you just let the fans Can't you just hire fans to play the game, to develop the game if you don't want your main developers working on it? Or give us the source code or uncompleted stuff, then we could have that fixed. But, yeah, Battlefront 2 got completely unplayable thanks to hackers. Well, there goes that fun. Meanwhile, the Oscars are finally set to add Best Stunt Design Award, and I was like, wait, that was never a thing? 2028, oh god. Yeah, they're going to start introducing the Best Stunt Design Award for 2028, which will be the 100th year of the 100th Academy Awards event. And I'm just like, wait. They never made that a thing until literally just now? Like, I could probably get back then because things were different 100 years ago, but like, you would think, I would think that they would have started introducing that by at least like when Terminator 2 happened. Heck, I'm surprised. Hey, though, honestly, to be fair, Tom Cruise would probably have won every single award at that time when he started doing his own stunts. And we all know he likes to do his stunts because he's Tom Cruise, he's in Scientology, and he does his own stunts! Now call action or you're fired! Matthew Johnson is so funny. But yeah, I was surprised when I heard that because I was like, wait, they never did stunt awards? You would think they would do that, and Tom Cruise would be bragging, though at the same time, Tom Cruise is probably the kind of guy that would have bragged about that constantly. But, yeah. Whoop-de-doo. Congrats to the stunt workers finally getting what they wanted, and let's see if they'll get the recognition that they deserve. Provided Tom Cruise doesn't release a movie that year. So, yeah. Also, Larian has confirmed the final patch for Baldur's Gate 3 launched on April 15th. Full list of notes and whatnot came out, and it's the final farewell to Larian's masterpiece as they look ahead. Also, the Andor showrunner revealed that a Star Wars horror project is in the works at Disney. My god. My take on that is actually quite simple. I know people are going to automatically say, oh man, we're finally going to get a Darth Vader movie, even though we had a Darth Vader movie for 3 movies and whatnot, and he's been in a ton of shows and whatnot. And he's been in a lot of comics too where he's doing that, but this is different. Somehow. Like, look, the only horror film I could probably want to see would be Nightfall, where the Jedi are being hunted by the clone troopers at the Jedi Temple. That would be a pretty kick-ass movie to do, but that'd probably just be a short film to be done. But I think the other thing I would say, I said this on Blue Sky. Yeah, I left Twitter, remember? God damn it, Elon. I went on Blue Sky and I heard about this news, and I said that, okay, hear me out. General Grievous before his shuttle accident that turned him into General Grievous, when he went by his original name, I try to pronounce it, when he was a warrior for the Huck War, which is basically a big war that happened for him and his species against a bunch of insectoid creatures. Like, and then you could also continue the horror aspect with the cybernetic horror of General Grievous hunting Jedi in his early years before he was eventually weakened into why he's doing that coughing fit now earlier than the original timeline did it. But yeah, that's how I would do it. I would pitch General Grievous to be the horror movie to be done, because that would make the most sense, especially when I found out this Battlefront 2 audio file where General Grievous says, "I have toppled nations, I have slain kings, I have murdered legends." Like, imagine if they made a horror General Grievous film with that premise in mind. And then they also added in the Huck War, which was a Legends story, which was a Legends event going on at the time in the Legends continuity in Grievous's backstory. They canonize it and make it much more brutal and whatnot, and add in the horror element of, you know, the bugs they're fighting and whatnot. Like, that would be pretty awesome to see. And then General Grievous being mutilated and scarred in the infamous shuttle accident and becoming the cybernetic General Grievous that begins hunting Jedi, and it just be a full-blown horror film, like that Clone Wars episode where the lair of General Grievous is explored, but it's not as it could have been. And if they made that into a film of Grievous when he was, quote, in his prime, that would be awesome. Also coming in July, the Hellfire Gala returns. Yeah! So they're going to take, so Mutant Kind is going to return in the Marvel Comics stuff with the Hellfire Gala, but it's not going to be the Hellfire Gala in and of itself. It's going to be X-Men Hellfire Vigil #1, which is basically the remembering the dream of Krakoa and the reminder that humanity hates you. Anyways, it's going to basically feature every single writer going on currently in the X books, including the canceled ones that were recently announced, along with all the artists that are also involved in the X-Men From the Ashes event. And yeah, they said they've been working towards the Hellfire Vigil for a year now, and all the assorted X creators came together at this a moment of significance for the X-Men and their world as a whole. Tom Ridley explained, saying, "If you've been wondering when somebody's going to encounter somebody else, the answer is right here in this book. It's a capstone to events that began from the ashes and sets of major movements that will be playing out across the coming months. Plus, it's full packed of great art and great character moments." So, are we going to see Kitty Pryde and Illyana Rasputin finally see each other again? Because it feels like it's like after they reunited in Gary Duggan's X-Men run at the tail end, they went on their separate ways again, and then they met each other again during the X-Manhunt event, only to just not really interact at all, even though they're the obviously best friends that some people want to see get together, for God's sakes, because they are the ones that make the most organic sense to get together. Though Kitty Pryde is currently in a relationship with somebody, though it seems like there's complications in that. But in Exceptional X-Men, but that's a completely different topic. And I heard some people saying they don't like it because of, and I totally get it, especially when you call out people who say they don't like Colossus and Kitty Pryde because of that age gap. And fine, yeah, there's the argument to be made there. I just felt like, I'm not really interested in that couple. Like, it just didn't work for me. It didn't click. Like I always like the Illyana and Kitty Pryde couple being a thing, even though that context is even crazier. Damn. But like, if I had to think of the best way to explain it, is that it feels like there's more organicness to it as opposed to the Colossus Kitty Pryde relationship. It just clicks more with me. Like, it just does for some reason. I have no idea why. Also, the Ultimate Universe continues its momentum when they announce the next big solicitations for their Ultimate Universe line as they reach more and more closer to the return of the Maker. Revealing Ultimate Incursions #2, Ultimate Black Panther 18, Ultimate Black Panther 18, The Ultimates 14, Ultimate Spider-Man 19, Ultimate Wolverine #7, and Ultimate X-Men 17. And the Ultimates is set to reveal the Ultimate Universe's take on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. And I was just like, look, hear me out. As long as you're not going to do what you did to them in the last Ultimate Universe, I will be perfectly good. And also, the whole alliance of the Sinister Six is about to fall apart because now it seems like someone finally pissed someone off enough to have Wilson Fisk, Mr. Negative, and Mysterio finally start a freeway war. And now the Sinister Six is in the Civil War event already. Oh, and let's see, Ultimate Wolverine, Wolverine the Winter Soldier, as he is called in this continuity, awesome, is sentenced to hell, and Liliana Rasputin of the Ultimate Universe is in a demonic form of Darkchild and has embedded a sword into his chest. And I'm surprised Peach Momoko has been able to keep a consistent schedule since they're both the writer and the artist of Ultimate X-Men. So props to her, so props to Peach Momoko on that. Black Panther, oh man, that's been a crazy ride. Ultimate Incursion. Well, the Ultimates are finally going to meet the Black Panther of that reality, so we're going to see how that goes. And Miles Morales is probably going to be like, I have lost complete track of the plot. Plus, we're also going to learn the secret history of Janet Van Dyne. Okay, cool. Also, Anthony Mackie, aka Captain America, aka the Falcon, Sam Wilson, revealed that it's something that probably should not have been said if you think about it, where he decided to talk about Avengers Doomsday, saying that we'll recapture the old Marvel feeling. I was like, so you admit it's gone. Like, you admitted it's gone. And that this movie is going to be the one that brings it back. Every time when I hear that, it says, this is going to bring back the old days. And it's like, that never works out when you say that. Like, it works sometimes, but when you have to use that as one of your big promotions, it's not going to end up well for people. And the reason I say that is because I got caught into that, because when I saw The Mandalorian, I got excited for the first 2 seasons, like, damn, we're finally back. Star Wars is back. Luke Skywalker is not the depressing old man that he's going to be in the future, which makes this completely superfluous. Maybe they'll retcon it and make an alternate timeline, a third timeline, and make it work out, and we can still have hope and optimism instead of being a depressing slogfest of stuff that has optimistic moments that are ultimately going to be pointless. For God's sakes. And then they immediately dispelled the ending of season 2 with the Book of Boba Fett, and then I was like, here we go. Meanwhile, we got behind-the-scenes footage of Superman release, showcasing Metamorpho and Hawkgirl. Awesome. And I love how comic accurate Metamorpho looks. Oh man, that was awesome. And we finally got to see Superman and Lex Luthor meet up for the first time together in the same scene. So that's pretty damn awesome, along with Rachel Brosnahan and Nathan Fillion. And where they're also talking about the making of the film, what it means for truth, justice, and the American way. Or the better tomorrow. James Gunn talks about the story, saying this character is noble, he's beautiful. Over footage of the camera of a massive jib swooping down to shoot down Corn Sweat as he lays in the snow at the start of the scene that premiered at CinemaCon, where Crypto the Superdog rescues Superman and drags him to the Fortress of Solitude. That was a funny scene. And Gunn also talking about saying how this version of Superman is full of hope and heart and goodness. Almost all the Supermans are. You could probably get that argument about the whole Zack Snyder stuff, but that's a very hot button of a topic that if I talk about it, they're gonna freak out, and I'm not in the mood to deal with that. And they talk about and Brosnahan talks about how he saves people because it's the right thing to do. We could use a little bit more of that, and I'm just like, yeah. And Brosnahan then says, in James Gunn, we trust. I still remember that joke people say where, because in Todd Howard, we trust. And I was like, oh God. Remember what happened the last time we thought someone would be the, quote, savior of a certain thing, and then ended, and then it looked like it started being that, and then it just fell apart. Todd Howard. Anyways, the Fantastic Four First Steps trailer released a new trailer And we finally get the Silver Surfer on full screen for the first time. Hooray! And the insanity came in as expected. Like, that's the sad thing. I saw that coming. Like, oh god. So people freaked out about it because of course they did. And yeah, it did not end well. They started asking what happened, why is this, why do we have a female Silver Surfer, where's the guy Silver Surfer, why can't it be him, why are we gender swapping a character? And I was just that guy that was sitting over here on the side being like, okay, I know the mass movie going public does not read comics a lot, but I'm just gonna say this for the hell of it. Just read Earth-X, because that is not the Silver Surfer that we're all familiar with from the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer film. And I said this, I made this joke tweet saying, Taurus saying, what happened? And I just wrote, me. Marvel Studios read Earth-X, because the Silver Surfer's wife in that universe also becomes the Silver Surfer and Herald of Galactus, and there's also that old man from the trailer that's in the cover of issue 12 of Earth-X, or at least someone that looks like him, and that just made me go, that's clearly where they're borrowing inspiration from. Also, I must stress this is the multiverse, so of course anything is possible. And then when people pointed that out, then I started hearing that apparently they're saying, why is she not sexy and all that? And I was like, oh, for God's sakes, we're doing this again. Look, I don't care. Do we have to have this argument now? Like, you said this was wrong, having a gender swap Silver Surfer, get immediately disproven because the comic books established that there's a multiverse that I must remind you that the MCU operates on now, that has a female Silver Surfer that is the wife of the original Silver Surfer that we know from the main comics. And then you go with the, well, is she hot? Oh, God. And I just was like, I want to just watch a good movie, hopefully. So, speaking of good, The Sandman Season 2 sets 2-part series finale for July with its first trailer released. Yeah. A 2-part volume set to release July 3rd, 2025, with the remaining 5 episodes of July 2024, bringing the total of episodes up to 11. Considering what happened with, you-know-who, yeah. I'm not surprised they decided to end the series. Meanwhile, Nintendo Switch 2 announced that the pre-orders are back on for April 24th. Hoorah! Still at $449. Haroof. And then, because Nintendo feel like they need to piss everyone off, they announced that the accessories that they're making have their prices go up now. And by accessories, I mean the Pro Controller, the Joy-Cons, the camera, the dock, the carrying case, the screen protector, the all-in-one carrying case, and the AC adapter, all have been given price point increases. Oh, God. I legitimately hate this industry sometimes. But enough about that. Let's end this on a positive note. Oblivion. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Remember that iconic video game? And all its bugs. And its clumsy writing sometimes. And the funny voice acting at times, yeah. There were rumors a few years back in a leaked document that apparently Microsoft had plans to release an Oblivion remake or remaster for the public to consume. And then, long and behold, it leaked. Screenshots, information about the game have surfaced online. And the one thing I did hear people complain about it was the fact that instead of being the brightly colored, multicolored phenomenon that the original Elder Scrolls Oblivion was, they're saying, why is it brown? Everything is brown. And I was like, how old are these screenshots? Like, there's a chance these are probably early versions of the screenshots that were leaked. I don't know. I could be horribly wrong about that. And I also want to point out that the weather cycle probably has a factor into this. If they re-implemented that, and that's probably why it's brown or something, or maybe there's a color filter option. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there before making a final judgment on that. But yeah. According to Jeff Grubb, the Oblivion Remaster will be shadow dropped on the week of April 21st with rumors of an Xbox showcase, but he didn't find any substantiating the information of the Xbox showcase on April 23rd. However, before I get to that, with not just the screenshots, it's being developed by Virtua Studios, and gameplay-wise, it apparently has a blocking mechanics inspired by Souls-like games, as well as an overhauled archery system and stamina systems, along with highlight sneak icons, added hit reactions, and a HUD change, along with comparisons to the graphics of 2006 to 2025. Do we even have to have that conversation? And there's even images of a physical deluxe edition having leaked as well. And Xbox even inadvertently confirmed it with their Xbox support automated responses, so that didn't work out. Oh god, I'm pretty sure Microsoft's gonna swear vengeance on Xbox support. And then you remember that there was a fan Oblivion remake called Sky Oblivion that was set to come out this year. So now we're going to get two massive competitions going on between is the official remastered remake of the game being the superior version, or is the modded community's version of Oblivion, Sky Oblivion, the superior version. This will be the ultimate test that will determine the fate of the gaming industry of fans and creators. But, yeah. And then earlier, right before this podcast came out, Bethesda just was like, yep, it's real. We're going to announce it tomorrow. We're going to reveal it tomorrow, and we'll probably say I'll drop it the same week. Set to announce it on April 23rd, not April 23rd, April 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is set to reveal the official release of it, along with there's also leaks of a Game Pass. The full reveal is set to come later today at the time, because when the editing is all done and whatnot, it'll be up, and by then it will probably be around past midnight. And not only that, but apparently someone did look into details about the storage file, the save file, the file size of the game. It's over 2,500% bigger than the original. So I would just like to point out, the original Game of the Year edition of Oblivion was 4.6 gigabytes of storage space. The reported leak information about the Oblivion Remastered from a separate developer heading it is 120.94 gigabytes. I'm not even going to try and talk about this, because if I talk about it, I'm going to scream, and I'm just going to be like, why can't you optimize this? And I'm scared for the PC version. But we'll see where that goes. And we'll see if the charm of Oblivion Remastered has the same charm that the original Oblivion had. Or heck, maybe modders will come in and try to patch in the charm of the original into it, just to get the laughs in. That'd be funny. Good times, good times. But that's about all that we have for today. This was a fun episode. I am exhausted. I just gotta finish some things up, then I'm just gonna go to bed. This was your host, Eric Brown of Neo Reality Collective. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my content in the description below. Stay tuned for more. Follow me on Blue Sky at neoreality.bluesky.com and all that. Be sure to follow me on everything. I'm also planning to start re-uploading episodes of the podcast onto podcast distribution sites, and I'm hoping to get that back on the swing of things later on. But we're closing in on the 100th episode of the rebooted series, and oh god, it's hard to believe I've made it this far, especially since technically we're at over 100 episodes in the legacy numbering that I introduced. So once we reach 149 legacy number, we'll reach 100 episodes, I believe. So get ready for that. I don't know what I'm going to do for the 100th episode, but we'll see. Anyways, this was your host, Eric Brown, Neo Reality Collective of Neo Reality Entertainment. See you all again next time. Stay tuned for this outro, and I'll see you all again. Peace and take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll have a nice day, everybody. Peace.
That was our latest edition of Neo Reality Collective. Be sure to follow and support NRE creator Eric Brown on Twitter and YouTube. Check the links in the description below, and we'll see you all next time.